Ledford 6601 amplifier. It's a 40 watt amplifier, switchable down to around 15 watts. I think it's actually 14.5 or something like that. It runs a pair of KT66 valves in the output section, pair of those. It has 3 12AX7 preamp valves and one 12AT7 valve for the FX loop. I'll show you the face panel now. The weird thing with this one is the controls seem to be in a reverse layout to most amplifiers, where you normally run from the preamp to the master from left to right. This one goes the opposite way. So starting at the right hand side with the inputs, we've got the high and low inputs. So generally you put your Strat, your single coils into the top, and your Les Pauls and other humbucker guitars in the bottom. If you want a bit of extra gain with your humbuckers there, you can always chuck them up high, and you know, there's no right or wrong really, but that's the standard rule of thumb there. We've got pre-volume and normal volume. Now they both work together, they cascade for your I guess clean setting. It's a single channel amplifier, I should have mentioned, where it is single channel. It's got 2 stages of gain here, then you can kick in a 3rd stage of gain here for quasi lead channel or distortion channel or whatever. You can get a fair bit of crunch just out of these though. You can clean it up. This is, the setting right now is fairly clean, and obviously the more you wind these back the cleaner it will get, but also the lower in volume it will get overall. The lead gain, that is, as I said, you kick that in with your foot switch, which is down here. I'll go through that in a minute. Kick that in with the foot switch. That turns it, doing that now, red, so you know that it's on. So it's currently on the clean setting. So that means that this knob, if I'm playing now and I turn this knob up and down, nothing happens because it's not active. It's only these 2 controls that are active right now while, these 2 controls that are active right now while that one is green. When that one goes red, these are still on, that gets added on top. Moving over, lead volume. Now that basically is a replica of the normal volume over here. It's foot switchable again, so it basically gives you 2 settings. It's almost acts like a lead boost, where if I kick that on with the foot switch down here, the second button there is a volume one, so if I hit that, that lead volume light will come on and back off. And all that's doing is switching between this one and that one. That light's on, this one's on. That light's off, this one's on. They're never on together. It's a toggle. So that just gives you a sort of a lead boost. We'll go through that in a minute too. Moving across, bass, middle, treble, standard stuff. They're fairly interactive too, or quite interactive I should say. So you get to, you know, find quite a few sounds in there. I've got them all turned up. That's probably a bad idea. I didn't realise that before I did that little intro bit, but it still sounds okay. Now this is where it's pretty cool. It's got high presence and low presence. Anyway, so low presence and high presence, that's really good for tuning in the guitar that you're playing. If you've got a Les Paul that's quite boomy or something like that, then you can always dial the low presence back and take some of the low end out if it's too much. Same with a Strat or a Telecaster or something. If you want to just dial back the ice pick out of the bridge pickup or something, you can just pull that high presence back a bit. Or, as it is now with a Les Paul, increase it to get it a bit brighter. Master volume needs no introduction, turns the overall volume up and down, and standby switch over there. Green is standby, red is ready to rock. Let's go around the back now. Just going to open these blinds up so I can get some light behind. And what have we got? Powered by Drake Transformers. Okay, so we've got the foot switch input thingy there. I'm doing this upside down for me, so it's really hard. Not much room to move here. Effects loop. Okay, so let's talk about that. It is a series parallel effects loop with a mix control over here to adjust how dry and wet you are. I can't unfortunately demo that right now because I don't have any modulation type pedals to stick in there. I've only got dirt pedals and they won't really do it any justice. But obviously send and return, they're self-explanatory, and your dry wet, basically the more wet the more effect is introduced into the signal. When you go all the way to wet, it's series, anywhere less than full is parallel, and then it's just graduated by the knob, of course. Now the cool thing, pentode and triode mode. Pentode mode is 40 watts, down here into triode mode. It's only running the triodes of the KT66 valves, drops it down to about 15 watts. Not only does it make it a tamer amp, but it also, volume-wise, but it also changes the tone of it. It doesn't make it a tamer tone, but it does make it a different tone. So it's a matter of choice there and how much power you need, I suppose, as well. Got your two speaker outputs, main and extension, so obviously you just got to make sure they're both the same rating, and then over here choose your correct impedance. I'm currently running one speaker cab at 8 ohms, so that's set right. And then just over here is your IEC plug and power switch, main power switch, and that's pretty much the back of the amp, the whole thing. Let's move on now. Where do we want to go? The foot switch. Okay, so talked about a couple of things with that. It's got the gain control, so that switches in that extra gain stage. When it's red, you're going to your extra crunchy tone, and then you've got your volume. So that again was where we switched between normal and lead volume. So that would give us a bit of a kick now, because we're going from that volume to that volume in that gain stage. Now, the other cool thing you can do with this, you might notice this little toggle switch on the back there. That allows you to, so let's hold this up here and we can see what's going on. So I hit that button and the lead volume goes off. Hit that button, the gain stage gets kicked in, hit the lead volume, and again that lead volume comes on. Now, rather than having to put your foot sideways if you want to hit both at once, let's put them back to there. If we hit this switch that way, you'll notice that the right hand light went out, because that switch doesn't do anything anymore, and the one switch does both at once. Pretty cool. So that's just another little handy thing with this amp. So that's pretty much all the explanation that I can give now. What I'm going to do is just mount this camera somewhere so you can see these controls, hopefully somewhere there. See the controls while I'm doing a little playing and mucking around. I'm not going to be able to do too much talking at the same time, I don't think, because I've only got one real microphone going. Anyway, let's see how we go. Okay, welcome back. I'm playing a Les Paul copy. It's got Seymour Duncan pickups. I think the bridge is an Alnico Pro 2, and I think the neck is a 59. I could be completely wrong with both of those. They're definitely Seymour Duncans. I think I'm right. Anyway, that's that. I'm currently on my guitar with everything turned up full, and on the bridge pickup you can see the amplifier settings right now, and this is what it sounds like there. I'll move to the middle pickup selection now, not the middle pickup, the in-between selection, the both pickups on setting, you know what I mean. So I was picking a little bit lighter there, so you can see it picks up the dynamics quite well. I'll move to the neck pickup now and play that same thing again. So I'll just muck around with the settings on the amp a bit. I can't get to my mixer from where I'm standing now, so I'm just going to play with the master at the same time while I'm bringing other things down, just so you can see how clean it can get, how different it gets at the different settings. So as you can see, the master compresses more than anything past about that point, and it depends on where the settings are here too. That's not very loud in this room at all, actually, with the master right up and these settings here. But the pre-volume is backed right off, and that's a big part of that. If I put that to about halfway and that to about halfway, it's gotten a fair bit louder in this room. It's still not going to have the neighbours complaining there. But it's gotten louder. If I take that all the way up now, then it's gotten only marginally louder. It hasn't got twice as loud going from halfway to almost full. Hasn't got anywhere near twice as loud to the human ear. So anyway, I'll go back a step there. While I keep the pre-volume, I'll go back to where we were. Everything was about halfway. If I bring the normal volume up now, that has gotten much louder. It probably clipped out the microphone, actually. I'll just bring the master down a bit. You can sort of bring the normal volume up as well in line with the master coming down and things like that to get the volume just right, the cleanliness just right to where you want it. So you can get a fairly clean tone. Now the thing to know with this amp though is that once you do that, I'm just going to bring this down. Once you get to a clean setting you like, you can't see it on the way I've got the camera right now, but I'm going to hit the foot switch now so the lead gain is going to be engaged. And it's going to probably get much louder. I can't remember. I don't normally play with the settings too much. I get to where I like it and leave it there. But so that's gotten a fair bit louder in this room. And of course that isn't even with the lead. The more I put the lead gain up, being that it is just an extension of those two, that preamp setting there, kicking this in just adds to it. So it's going to add volume as well. Now this is where I showed you the foot switch earlier, where you can set up the toggle switch so that both this or the whole lead volume, normal volume toggling thing going on one foot switch. You can have it set up with the toggle so that both these things are happening at the same time as that is happening. And if I bring this down lower than that, then I'm going to be engaging. So I'm just going to get in front of the camera here probably. Okay, so I'm back to clean setting. I've set the foot switch up so that it hits both of these things at the same time, and I've got this setting lower than that setting. This is probably very confusing, but anyway, what's going to happen there is it's going to kick in the lead gain from. So I'm currently on clean. Cleanish anyway. I'm now going to hit just the one foot switch, which will kick in both things there. So with that setup, I've actually got decent crunch happening. And it's actually in this room, I don't know if it was translating on the microphone, but in this room it was actually quieter when it went to the extra gain stage. So I can bring this up a little bit more to try and balance it out. So that's fairly balanced now. I probably want to go even a bit louder on the distortion. Now you might have noticed that the tone changed a lot there at one point. That was because I was just switching between pickups and everything. It got a little bit grainy to my ears, at least anyway. Obviously you just pull it. So let's have a muck around with the high presence now. So anyway, that's kind of a demonstration of how all the toggling can go on there. There's so many settings on this thing. In fact, what I should be doing is showing you the EQ settings at flat. I forgot they were full yet again. Might make a big difference to how things sound. It definitely will make a big difference to how things sound. I prefer them well over halfway. I'm not into this idea of things at 12 o'clock, particularly on this amp. It just flattens it out too much, I think. So for me, that's just sort of killed it a lot. I prefer these to be up much higher than halfway. You can hear how much of a difference that has made, just going from So the EQ is very, very instrumental to this amp. Some amps, the EQ doesn't do very much at all. On this amp, it does a real lot. So it's a matter of just finding what's too much and what's too little and getting somewhere in between. And each guitar is going to be different. Each style of playing is going to be different, of course. More is more for me on this amp. So that's that. Let's what else do I need to show you? That's pretty much all of the front controls covered, I think. What I'm going to now do is go around the back. I'm not going to bring the camera with me. I'm just going to switch it from pentode to triode now, just so you can hear what the difference is. So just a quick... Sorry, we'll go to dirt channel for this. And now to triode mode. You can hear the big volume drop straight away with that. I think I'm kind of back to where the volume was in this room, with the volume up to there now on triode compared to when it was on pentode mode. So it does make a big difference. This would be really cool for small rooms, which I'm in right now, but playing in small rooms or stages where you really need to have the volume down a bit and run more on the PA. You can still get a good tone out of it this way with the volume, you know, maxed out on the amp or up fairly high on the amp, driving those the triodes, at least of the tubes, nice and hard, without having a sound guy screaming at you. So let's go back to pentode mode now. I'll just drop the volume before I do that. So for me, I think, I mean, my ears are pretty bad these days, but I think that the pentode mode that we're currently on is a sharper, crisper sort of sound, and the triode mode sort of gives you a bit more of a gnarly sort of, maybe early ZZ Top or something like that sort of sound. Anyway, that's I can't think of anything else I need to show in terms of how things operate. That's pretty much it. As I said, I'd love to show you the effects loop. It works really well, but I just don't really have any pedals here. They're all dirt pedals, and as I said before, they don't really shine through an effects loop. So I'll just do a bit more mucking around with settings and things like that. I'm going to go back to the left-hand toggle on the foot switch, so both switches are on now. They run independently. I can switch the lead volume on and off independent to the gain stage being on and off. So actually I might just give you a quick demo of that. I'll go back to settings where you'd actually be boosting and not cutting. So sorry about the terrible playing there and everything. I'm a bit rusty. But that's a very exaggerated example of how it can go from a clean to a dirt to a boost for solo. Anyway, I think that's pretty much all I can show you on that. All right, over and out.